Get your cocktails about the game script. A huge victory. We get on these streams and we put our heads together. Get your balls, put them on the table. We are live. Let's get to work. We've got a huge card tonight. You have found us. We are the last call. Shout out to my guy Sharpie on the ones and twos backstage, making it tight and right. You guys know how we do. Appreciate everybody dropping in here tonight. It is Thursday. It's our sneak peek into the weekend here. I'm going to call it the unofficial launch into the weekend Thursdays here. We get through tonight. We make a pile of cash. We roll into Friday, and then we get ourselves that nice weekend to cash all spots, all cards, UFC, you name it, NFL, college football. It's exciting. There's a huge card on deck this weekend, but we are here one day at a time, one play at a time, and I appreciate everybody dropping in here, being on time. You guys know the deal. We got a lot to get to tonight. I'm super excited to bring on a debutante for this last call show, an NHL extraordinary. Usually see him during the day, but some scheduling changes have given us the opportunity to bring him in and share some looks on the NHL. And we have been cooking in the NHL, 19-3 in our last 22 plays since November 1st in the NHL, 8-1 our last 9 college football plays as well. If only we can get the association in check, we will be smooth sailing. And you guys know the deal here. We'll get into the recap here shortly. We have a big card. We've got 4 college basketball looks tonight for you. I shared them earlier, so I'm going to move pretty quickly through those. There's a short out there that our guy Jimmy the Bag released with those college basketball plays. We're going to jump into that big NHL card tonight. Quite a few looks out there. Lots of spots that really got excited about when I looked at the card. I had to pare it down. I want to try to keep a clean card and not have too much squirrely action out there. But I think I'm pretty excited about the spots that we have there. We're going to jump into college football. We've got the NFL and, of course, the NBA. There's 2 games on deck in the association tonight. And I think I got a couple interesting spots for you guys to consider when it comes to those college or the National Basketball Association spots. So lots to get to, lots of work. We want to let everybody get in here, funnel in, make sure that you can catch these plays in order that we're rolling through this thing here. Again, it's a big card tonight. Lots of opportunities to try to get that cash. And I'm excited, you guys. I appreciate the opportunity. Of course, 50 plus in here. I ask you guys to do me one favor and hit that thumbs up button on the YouTube video, please. Takes you a second, costs you nothing, and it means a ton. It helps a ton. It's a big situation to kind of break that code and get last call into that YouTube algorithm and get it popping up there, which is huge. You know, let's promote the brand. You know, it's funny. We're seeing some copycats out there now in this stuff too. So when you're doing something right, everybody wants to get involved with it and try to come up with their own iteration. But the difference is it's your boy here connecting the dots, looking at the trends, talking about the splits, and kind of analyzing it all, breaking it down, and trying to give everybody those opportunities to get to the window. And that is what we're going to do. We'll start out here giving a shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys being ready to go here. NJ Stryker says, cash, cash, cash. Mr. Vape, what's up? Mr. Vape says, what up, all Rangers reg over 4.5 sacks in the NFL game, over 9.5 assists by Trae Young. Love to see the action, you guys. Please make sure you put it out there. I'm going to do my best to recognize everybody sharing spots with us here and trying to give us alternate looks to get out there and cook the books. Nunya says the Bucknell pen over got up to 165 in the first and ended up hitting under 145. AOD says, we are all Degens United as one. That's right, AOD. We sure are. RVD 420. What's up, my guy? How you doing? Real Deal Prime. UFC hoodie with the ad, man. Let's go. It's allowed to bust out the UFC hoodie. It's hoodie season up in here now, too. You know, we're getting chilly. It's in the 40s, and it's only getting chillier. So Fat Cat Ninja, 5-1 yesterday and hungry for more today. JPZ already down 1 unit today. EuroLeague got me. I need some get right, and hopefully we can help you get there, JPZ. We'll make it back. We got a huge card tonight, and you know we got a live betcast at 7:30. So lots of work to do to get all of this action packed in there and get everybody teed up for that spot to get to the window. We're going to take a little intermission, and then at 7:30 we'll be back, bringing on the boys, talking about spots that we can use for this NFL card. Let's see. J Smooth 16 says, let's get this bag. You know it. There's Tarek B. What's up, Mike? Vegas didn't come through last night. They did not. That was a painful spot, and we'll talk about it and recap the action. But let me give a few more shout outs there. The Philly Bullies Oilers -7. Are you laying 7, or is that the total that you're looking at on the 7? Ronnie and Berger says Pens Kings under 6.5 at +110. Moreno Mexicano, I'm praying for a money line hockey slate. Yeah, we've got a nice looking hockey slate tonight. I'm excited to break that down. And I know our guest is in the back, so we got to get to work. And I appreciate everybody. I want to give everybody shouts out. First guys in here. I see we got new members, and SJ and Rushia Jr., of course, Lexicon. Let's go. Let's get to work. Let's roll these sleeves up. Today it is a sleeve day. It's chilly. Needed to have some sleeves on, and we'll get into this action here. But to kick this card off, I've got 4 college basketball spots. Again, you'll see on the right-hand side kind of the order that we're going to jump through in this thing here. And I'm just going to be brief with this. We've got, with this Tulane game here, I'll give you guys the current and latest splits. We'll jump through this thing pretty quickly here. My look on this play was really a spot where Tulane's been battle-tested. They've got stronger coaching edge, in my opinion. You've got a program that's moving in really 2 different directions. Northwestern State, an existing coach, 23 seasons deep. But you've got, Ron Hunter, the guy manning the clipboard for Tulane out there. And, he's in his 5th season here. So he's got the players he wants. He's got the lineups he wants. He's got kind of the system installed that he's looking to capitalize on and execute out there. So I gave it out earlier today at -15.5. If you make sure you line shop appropriately. The numbers are bouncing around. There's been some movement on some of these cards. And in fact, there's been enough movement on one spot that I'm going to move off of it. But the Tulane -15.5, -108, college basketball is going to open up the card for us. And before I do that, I just realized I skipped right through the recap here. So let's move quickly through it here. It was, bottom line, not the biggest day yesterday. It was a 6-6 spot. So, we ended up 500. We ended up down a little bit there. We did win with the Sixers game. We talked about that spot early to kick the card off. No reason they should have been dogs at home against the Celtics. The Jazz are officially on the poop list. The +6.5. At one point in the third quarter, they were close to covering the number, but couldn't get it done. Memphis at +2 is that bad. They're just bad right now. No Ja, big problems. Houston Rockets +4.5. I know a lot of guys were on that first half. We looked at the full game in that spot. The Dallas under 227.5 did not get there for us. The Portland Trailblazers, the number moved to 221.5 from where we started at 222. An observation I made, and then I capitalized on it, so I'll share it with you guys. We were kind of just hanging out backstage, a couple guys and I, and the 222 number. This is the second time that I've had a 222 on the total that ended up going to overtime. So I did jump in there and take that overtime at +1060. It was just a little sprinkle play, but we were messing around, having a couple cocktails, and I was like, watch this thing go to overtime. What would screw me more than a 222 under, a 111, and sure enough, 111, minimal seconds left. They go to overtime and got it done, but not to the total that we needed. So the Florida Panthers did come back and beat the Washington Capitals. Vegas did not, so we split in the NHL last night. But we did have a really strong performance again in college football. Bowling Green over 41. Everybody was saying, no way. It's going to be an under spot. It was not an under spot. It was an easy over spot. Bowling Green cashed that over on their own. And we laid some juice. We laid a -17 on Miami, Ohio. Covered that thing comfortably. Toledo. There was a little bit of a spark at the end there that had to get put down for Miami, Ohio to win that game. And then Toledo at -19.5. Big juice. Was never a doubt, was never in concern. It was go from start to finish. They didn't get there, but once they got there, they just built on top of it. So follow that up. We had Arizona State +4. That did not get there for us. So again, disappointing spot, still up comfortably. And it was a 3-6 spot on the leans. For the sake of time, we'll just kind of keep it rolling here. Just the Wemby spots there, those kind of last minute spots with Wembyana and the New York Knicks and the Madison Square Garden did not get his 2.5 assists. He had 2. Did not get over 2.5 blocks. 7'4". He only came up with 1 block. So I'll put an early question mark on his heart out there. You're in the Garden. It's a prime spot, a prime event in front of a New York crowd. And you got 1 block, dude. You're 7'4". Come on. I mean, you got to put your hands up there and block those things there. In the NBA, though, Charlotte blew it. Charlotte money line was a blowout spot for us. The Spurs over 223 cashed comfortably. The Bucks over 227.5 cashed again comfortably. Keep our eyes on those Bucks totals. And then that Houston under 218.5 did cash for us. we lost on the Sacramento Kings -7. So, and then a lean on that Toronto side as well. So Toronto did not get there. The Maple Laughs, if they call them that, certainly kind of bowed down and bowed out. They did not have their best performance, and Ottawa really put it to them to get it done. But here we go. We're rolling. We got about 100 or so in here. Again, guys, all I ask is get your pens and paper out, write some of these spots down, maybe look at some of these angles if you want to consider them for the later part of the card. And please hit that thumbs up button. We're going to get cruising. We're going to get rolling. We just talked about the Tulane spot out there, Tulane -15.5. Make sure you line shop. I would take it up to 17.5, but I wouldn't go any higher than that. So if you haven't gotten it in now, make sure, again, that you line shop and look for the best spots that you can get advantage of. That's our only advantage against these books, is having a number of different spots out there to try to cook them. So onward and upward, we're going to roll into game number 2. William and Mary versus American. And I took a money line spot here with William and Mary. Again, for the sake of lack of repetition, and if you really want to hear the breakdown, you can go into the shorts that Jimmy released earlier today. It is out there. What we have is 62% of the bets, 74% of the cash on American. They moved from a +104 road dog to a -102 favorite. And I just think that is the absolute wrong move in this case here. We've got a team in William and Mary that's, again, another situation with a fifth-year coach versus a new coach in Dwayne Simpkins on the American side of things here. And American got the ever-loving hell kicked out of them last game against Villanova. It was a 90-63 spot, and the score was only 63 because of the backups coming in there. William and Mary did play a team in Regent that's a Division III school. I would argue that, William and Mary, or that American is not that much of a step up from a program like Regent. So they probably should be a D3 school when it's all said and done. Onward, upward. Next game we have on the agenda in college basketball. Keep it rolling here. I'm not sure if the screens are moving for us or not, but that's okay. We will.
Sorry, Sharpie was high.
Thanks, buddy. We got that one. We're on to the next one.
Really
all
high.
Right, there we go. This is a spot that I was really looking forward to tonight. It's, I started talking about college basketball and where I started with these numbers in this game. And, when hockey started, for the longest time with hockey, rather, there would only be like one 10 o'clock game. And as a fiend for action, I was like, well, what can I get involved with? And, some of these MEACs and these Western Conference teams, the Mountain West and such, were spots that I really started to take advantage of. And speaking of taking advantage of here, I thought this number was just completely inaccurate here. Portland State +8.5 is out there now. Let me just double check and line shop for us. Oh, shit. There's even 9.5s out there now. I mean, generally speaking, I see 10s. Oh, my goodness. 10s are the numbers that we're going to rock and roll with here. Funny thing is that the FD book there, the one I talked to you guys about that has the best number, always does the worst for me. They are struggling right now with a 7.5, but there's 10s almost across the board right now. So take advantage of that spot here. What I like most about Portland State is, first and foremost, they're battle tested. They played a real opponent here to start the season off. The Gauchos, UCSB Gauchos. While they had a great team last year, I think that's what's flooding this market and making this move. People are looking at Portland State and saying, who? And on the flip side of things, everybody knows that the Gauchos were a tournament team last year. They made a lot of people a lot of money, but what they might not be aware of is the loss of Miles Norris at 14.1 points per game, Andre Kelly at 9.3 points a game, and the only replacement answer they had there is a guy named Johan Traore. I can't even say his last name. He's from Auburn at 9.9 points per game. I'm no rocket scientist here, but if you lose 25 points a game and you only replace it with 10 at best, you're still going to have a tremendous gap. And not only that, but there's chemistry factors that go into this here. A new team, new lineups, trying to get it all right. And I just think this is too many points. I even sprinkled the money line. So to give you guys a benchmark here on the money line, it's sitting out there at +375 right now. I kind of think this is just a spot where UCSB can get caught napping. And, while the cash is pouring in and everybody's hammering away on the UCSB side of things, you're going to give me a 10 now on a team that's already played an Air Force spot where they weren't supposed to win and they came out and got it done outright. Hell yeah, line me up for that thing. That's going to be the third college basketball play and our last spot for the college basketball card. And then we're going to transition over to my guy is this New Mexico St. Mary's game. should be a lot of fun. This game should be a pretty competitive battle here. It's not what you know from kind of a marquee event like a Duke and UNC and those types of games, but on the West Coast, this game does matter, and St. Mary's has got motivation and then some to play for. First and foremost, St. Mary's is kind of the little sister out there on that West Coast to Gonzaga. Gonzaga seems to get their answer or get their number every time they play. And what did they do this year in the offseason? They focused on finding a way to pump in three-pointers here. They're looking to go deep. They're certainly a team that picks up their offensive rebounds and capitalizes on second-point chances. Versus here in New Mexico, Richard Pitino factor for me with them coming out of Minnesota. The guy's just, he wins, but he's not a winner. And I think that's the big difference here. It's his second year as the coach. What did they do last year? The motivation spot for me was St. Mary's. They ended up getting upset by New Mexico last year. So an outright loss to New Mexico last year. And a lot of these players are the same. They brought back a pretty strong returning core. Those are the guys that lost last year. You don't think they know that? You don't think they're motivated to go out there and say, we're not going to let that happen to us again in this spot here? Furthermore, not just the revenge and rematch situation, but when you have a home favorite that's lined between 2.5 and 9.5 points, and you have a total over 141, they're 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 spots in this case. That is a perfect fit for me for St. Mary's. It's now -6.5. It's a later game, so if you're going to play that game, I would take it early. I wouldn't wait and take that thing later. In fact, let me just double check the numbers because I expect it's going to move. I see 6s out there now. It's kind of across the board. So I see 6s, 6.5 predominant number, 7s. There is a 6 out there at PointsBet, so make sure you line shop. I wouldn't go much past 7. As much as I want to get into this game, there's the margin of the victory when it comes to that spread that I read was 1 possession. So around that 9.5 spot. So 1 possession at 9.5 means at 7, you've got about 2 possessions to work with in comfort. Any more than that, I think it just loses too much value to be a play on spot. So if you're going to play that spot, make sure you play it early. That's going to bring us through college basketball. That was a quick 4-pack for you guys. And we're going to transition and move it right along the line. I'm excited to have my guy join us here. Our guy, my brother across the Great Lakes himself. You guys know what he's all about out here. We got him on a Thursday night. His debut for the last call. Yeah. There he is. Gongster, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Mike? Thanks for having me on, bro. This is a treat. Have to do this at 6 o'clock right before the games come on. So yeah, man, let's get after it.
Well, no pressure. We've been having a hell of a hockey season here to kick things off. So I'm looking forward to having the conversation with you. I kind of sent you the rapid fire games there that I wanted to kind of get through here, and I'll kind of set it up. We'll talk about the goaltending matchup, and then I've got a few looks that I want to make sure we get out there. But anything that you want to jump in on, any games that we don't cover that you want to jump in on, by all means, the floor is yours. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to stop by here and give us a couple looks. And as far as stopping by and looks, we're going to start with this Rangers-Minnesota game. How'd that be?
Sounds good, Mikey.
All right, man. We got Marc-Andre Fleury, and we've got what's his name here? Dominique.
Yeah, we got. Where am I here? I'm just like our guy Sharpie here. We smoked a couple before. Louis Domingue. We got Louis Domingue going. First time since he had that crazy run against Pittsburgh when they knocked him out. Or sorry, when he was on Pittsburgh. So this is a bit of a wild card in net for the Rangers tonight.
Yeah, so, his debut since the 21-22 season. Here's the thing, though, as I started doing some research on him, he's been having a hell of a record right now out there in Hartford. He's got a 175 goals against average in his last 4 games. He's 93.4 save percentage. Here's a journeyman that I think this team can rally and get behind. I looked at this thing here, and when you played, when you played Detroit, and now you're on the home side of things here, you're 14-4. For whatever reason, there's some of these trends I've been tracking this year, Gokster, where it has a lot to do with either who your next opponent is or who your last opponent was. There's a couple spots that made the card tonight. And in this case, when your previous game was against Detroit, and now you're a home team lined between -115 and -200, they end up being 14-4 with a 1.67 margin of victory. So they're covering that puck line more or less in that 1.5 here. But I locked in the Rangers. I like that -114 number I was able to take on them. Thoughts? Any looks for you on this game?
Yeah, man. I got a lot of looks here. I wasn't going to add this, but just before the show, I think there's going to be goals, man. Like Minnesota, they just can't play unders. They're 3-2 against Washington. That's their only under they've had since the beginning of time, it feels like. And then with Louis Domingue, it just being his first start in the NHL and how fast-paced this Minnesota team has been playing, but then they can't give up goals You can say too, the Rangers defense is solid too, Mikey. I really think I don't see this being a lower scoring game. I could be wrong here with Louis Domingue if he can get a really stellar start, but the Rangers, lost 5-4 to Minnesota just a week ago there, Mikey,
Right.
or not even. So I don't know if we're going to see, and who was in net actually. That's a stat I didn't have there. See if I can backtrack real quick here for you guys. It was Quick. So they had Quick in net for the Rangers, and I think it was Gustafsson, I believe, in for the for Minnesota. So now you got Fleury and Domingue. I really think there's going to be goals here. I got over 6 minus 124 just in case there is 4-2 final here. But I just could not take it here today, Mikey. Over 6 minus 124 here, guys. Also the power plays. We got 33%, 19%, and then 63% penalty kill for Minnesota and only 76 for the Rangers. That's home road split, small sample size. But I really think there's going to be goals here. I do see the Rangers winning, but not without goals.
It's funny because it was just the other day there where I was looking at that game. I think was it Winnipeg? And I was kind of looking at that under and thinking, okay, we're going to catch an under spot here. And then sure enough, last minute, they went up 5-0 and I'm like, all right, this under's looking okay. And then I think it was Winnipeg that pumped in like 3 goals at the end. And I was like, what the hell happened to that under? I blinked and it just got crushed over. So, I think that's an interesting look. And you're right about Minnesota. They kind of score in bunches, right? They kind of start out maybe cold and then get hot, or they just have rapid fire ability behind them. So
and then their injuries too. Like they got so many injuries too on the back end still. So they got Matt Boldy back. Their offense. This is just an offensive team with subpar goaltending, average goaltending. Gustafsson's been okay, but I think this is right for goals, Mikey.
Cool. I like it. I like the look a lot. Thank you much. Our next game we're going to talk about here is Vancouver and Ottawa, the Canucks and the Senators. And we've got DeSmith in net at 2-0-1. I like to break these goalie matchups down, Gokster, because I share all the time that it's so much like baseball and starting pitchers, right? When you get kind of that hot hand and you got guys that have tendencies versus not, or you've got the backups coming in, those are important factors as you start to break down a game. So we do have the backup in DeSmith here at 2-0-1, and we've got Forsberg on the other side at 2-2. So DeSmith running a 306 goals against average, 90.5 save percentage. And on the other side of things with Forsberg at 3.4, 86.3%. Probably anything than what you want to look at from in terms of if you're on the Senator side of things, trying to catch this rally and rebound here. But, I think the notes I had for DeSmith is, at 2-0-1, he's a serviceable backup. Vancouver's got 4 straight wins going into this game here against Ottawa, who's lost 5 of their last 7. So talk about 2 teams trending in different directions. I think what works for DeSmith is the fact that Vancouver's first in the NHL with goals for average, 4.5 goals a game, man. They're firing pucks all over the place.
Yeah, 100%. And their defenses look better too, Mikey. Like they've only allowed 2 against Edmonton, shut out against Dallas, 1 San Jose, 2 against Nashville, shut out against St. Louis. So defensively, they've also been winning a lot. Puck lines too. I'm seeing here they won 9 in a row on the puck line. So Vancouver is playing really well. But I watched all of that game against Toronto, Mikey, and Ottawa. They always get up against Toronto. Just a team. They Battle of Ontario up here. But I do see there being goals here again. First period is going to be the look, though, here, guys. I'm going to tie it in with a parlay. 13 of the last 15 here, Mikey, have gone over in the first period, at least over 1.5. So it's about minus 180. So I'm not going to take that straight up. I'm going to tie it into a money line later on in the show. So, and with the goaltending, you're saying I still don't trust Forsberg. He's serviceable. Both of these goalies are serviceable. And also the defense for Ottawa is not the greatest right now too, Mikey. They got a lot of injuries. Shabbat's out, Brandstrom, Zub, Riley Craig too. Looks like he's out, centerman for them. So I would be leaning towards Vancouver here, but I think the over 1.5, tie this in with a parlay, guys. There should be some goals here early. Vancouver defensively, I still think they got question marks too, Mikey. So, and Demko, top 5 goalie. So we'll see how DeSmith does as the season goes on, because defensively, if Vancouver doesn't, it's going to be tough for them, I think, to hold this team to under 2 goals. I do Ottawa here. And the same with Ottawa, though. I think it's going to be tough to hold Vancouver. So kind of another over spot.
I like that first period overlook. I think, the way that Ottawa finished that game, I always believe there's carryover, the way they finish to the way they start those games. They're feeling good. They're not questioning, how the biscuit's going to fly around there. They know what's happening out there. The spot that I went to and ultimately took Vancouver here is there's a trend in this restless road team. When you got a team with no rest on the road, And the total is greater than 5.5. 410 to 192 across the NHL over the last 2.5 seasons. So tremendous run going on there when you've got a team with no rest. Normally you would think the opposite, right? Like they're on the second leg of a back-to-back. They don't have the rest. The legs are going to be tired. But in this case here, you got a hot Vancouver team, and 410 to 192 is a confident enough sample size for me to lock in Vancouver as a road favorite at a small price with the Smith, who, I think Vancouver's offense can power them through this game. And Ottawa coming off that last game to me was just a spot where I thought, this might be a challenge for them to kind of match the firepower that is Vancouver, albeit I like that first period look quite a bit. So yeah, nice move. All right, we're going to roll on here. We're going to get to this Islanders game here. If there's any others that we miss along the way, Gocher, let me know. But we got the Islanders Bruins on deck tonight with Ilya Sorokin at 3-1-3, and damn right Linus Ullmark in net there at 4-1-1. 3.12 goals against average for Sorokin, 91.1 save percent. 2.3 goals against average for Linus Ullmark, and 92.6% save percentage. What a battle this game could be here, huh? We got quite a bit of opportunity where we're seeing the Islanders traveling on the road to Boston, and Boston's been firing hard. The thing that I wrote down in this game was, is it a potential bounce back spot? 2 of Ullmark's last 3 games, he's had over 4 goals in net. I mean, that's not what we expect out of this guy. And I think kind of the recipe or the remedy when you're in a situation where you've been kind of letting those pucks get by you unnecessarily is you got to play a team that doesn't score a lot of goals. And holy cow, the Islanders, 2.65 goals for.
What's new, eh? What's new?
Another Islanders season with another low-scoring team. Like, if you get drafted or you're a player on the Islanders, you got to be thinking, shit, am I going to get to 20 goals this season?
You know what I think the problem is, Mikey? They're just middling every year. So, like, they can't get that really good draft pick. They're always like 13 to 17 or something,
Right. They're good enough to be relevant, but they're not good enough to make a push, right? They're kind of like always on that line of when do we get to that next level. So I went with the Bruins in this game for me. I mean, the home Bruins, I don't know that there's a lot to get excited about. I think it's a bounce back spot, but if you're seeing something I'm not here, I saw Boston specific trend when Boston's in their first 15 games of the season and they got a total over 5.5 where they're expecting goals. Boston's 52-15 and they're winning by 1.25 goals in those games. So not enough for me to go with the Bruins on the puck line, but enough for me to say I don't want to mess with that regulation. I wanted to just take Bruins to win this game at -130. It's moderate juice for me. I thought that was the play.
Yeah, and I know Sorokin hasn't had a lot of starts. It's been Varlamov who's had a lot of starts for this team on the road, and they've been good actually too, Mikey. They've had 3 road starts, I believe, and 2 of them were shutouts against Washington and Columbus, a lot weaker teams. But I think there's this 5.5 juice to the under too, guys. It's going to be a low-scoring game. They wouldn't put that 5 and a hook, and it's juice to the under. Like, come on. It's I think this is going to be a bounce-back spot. You said for Ullmark, I think for Sorokin too. He's 1-0-1 right now early on. He's a 5.1 goals against on the road. That's not going to stay, in my opinion. And you got the Islanders coming off 2 losses too, Mikey, at home, 4-3 to Carolina, 4-2 to Minnesota. So I think they're a little bit pissed off here, the Islanders. I don't know if they're going to be – it's going to be a tight, cagey game. This could go to overtime even. Like it's a 1-1, 2-2 kind of game. I'm going to take the first period. Actually, no. I'm going to take the old no goal in the first 9 minutes. I like giving those ones out usually on the shows, guys. So that's going to be a look here, Mikey, -110. Locked it in already, guys. Look for this to be just a tight affair here in this game. A lot of these games go under too when these teams play. So I think we got another one.
Yeah, that's great. What's funny is I wrote down here. So when Boston, I kind of gave you guys that 52-15 stat. When they're in a non-divisional opponent spot, it's 11-1. In the first period, though, over that sample of 67 games, right? The 67 game sample where I shared the 52-15 spot. The average goals for just under 1.5. So I one of the leans that I had in there that didn't ultimately make the card for me was, looking at that first period under 1.5 goals. I thought, and that kind of falls right in line with what you're talking about there and saying that, you think no goals in the first 10 minutes. Shit, we get no goals in the first 10. We might as well go 10 more and have a shutout-less or a scoreless first period. So
I don't want to go too many plays. Just I could probably get to 20 if we keep going here. But I do think this is going to be a really lower scoring game, Mikey. Look for it to be. I think it's just Sorokin and Ullmark. They're just two really good goalies that, like you said, they're it's going to be tough, I think, for these teams to score, and they're more so defensive minded, even though there is no McAvoy for Boston. Yeah.
Those goalies are just better than who they are right now. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see, especially when you've got a team that does play a lower, slower pace. I did just take a look out there. Somebody had pointed out the lines moved as well. It's minus 135 is the best number we can get. So we'll use that for show tracking purposes here. If you guys do see the variance out there, please let me know because, in this case here, that's a DK number that's moved to minus 135, but moving in the right direction as far as kind of seeing that cash coming in and seeing that the lines are kind of showing vulnerability there and trying to react to it. So we'll keep it rolling. We'll move on to the next game here. We keep a brisk pace. We keep a real brisk pace.
Like Loshak always says.
Yeah, that's where I heard that from the first time. I got to keep a brisk pace. I know you're used to that with getting on the shows with him on those Tuesdays. So we'll keep it rolling. We're going to talk about this Coyotes game, the Coyotes and the St. Louis Blues. What do we have here? We have Vejmelka and net at 2-4-1. And I'm terrible with the pronunciation here. Hofer at 2-1 on the other side of the goal.
I'm no better than you, Mikey.
We've got Vejmelka at 309 goals against average, 90.4 save percentage. Hofer's not doing much better at 3-0 goals against average, 91.2% save percentage. And it's funny is I heard somebody in the chat earlier today on Jimmy's show talk about Binnington probably being shopped around here, and we're seeing that they were kind of flip-flopping between Binnington and Hofer. And, I think it's more of the hot hand.
The starts. Yeah, they're giving the kid the starts. That makes a lot of sense now that you're saying it. Yeah, it looks like Binnington could be just kind of playing here and there, get Hofer some reps because, this guy was on Springfield for a while. I remember seeing him here, actually, Mikey in Belleville. He's a small goalie. I keep saying this. He's a very small goalie, but he's got reflexes like a cat. He's really, really quick. I remember seeing him really quick, but he is beatable. I remember Belleville had 4 or 5 goals on him. So, still a young goalie. They want to get a lot of reps with him, but it's tough when you have St. Louis 0% power play, 53% penalty kill. It's not easy for the kid.
It's that gave me some pause and some concern. The only thing that I kind of thought of, well, not the only thing, a couple of things that I looked at with this game though, is when you look at the Vejmelka side of things, he started off the season on a tear. He had 98 saves on 103 shots, and it was like, holy cow, this guy's killing it. And that's when Arizona was playing red hot too. So everybody was on him early and talking about how they're going to be a playoff team. I don't know if I'm ready to go that far yet, but since then, and this is why the goals against average in these stats are so significant and important when you start capping the card. We talk about that regression. After that hot start, only letting in 5 goals on 103 shots, his next 105 shots, he let in 16 goals. So very much an opportunity where he's kind of rebounding back to who we kind of think he is. And if anything, it's a vote of confidence, in my opinion, for that Hofer to get the opportunity over Binnington, especially if there are rumors talking about trading this guy. Probably an agent talks to one guy and then it gets its way around the locker room and Binnington's on the hot seat. So, the challenge in this game is St. Louis, like you said, they're just not a team that's scoring. 28th in the NHL at 2.36 goals for. Here's one of those team factors here. When you're in Arizona and you're away, you're a Coyotes team on the road, you're playing an opponent who hit 20 or more times the previous game. So in my opinion, that means they show heart. They're not just rolling over and taking a beating, but they're throwing physical bodies out there and running teams down. Arizona on the road, when they're playing an opponent that's got 20 or more hits the previous game, Arizona Coyotes are only 4-28. They're losing by 1.47 goals against that, or goals a game average. So for me, I went with that low price on the Blues tonight. I think the vote of confidence for the goaltending. Maybe I'm trying to get too cute and thread the needle with this goaltending sorcery, but I just kind of think we have a goaltender in the Coyotes who played well above their expectation early in the season. And the Blues, for me, in this spot, after a physical game, showing that they can come out there and get the job done. So I ended up locking in St. Louis.
Yeah, this was a tough game. I found Mikey, but I think there's going to be goals, man. I do. I think the penalty kill is very subpar here, and the goaltending, Vejmelka's been okay, but they don't have Dermott too. He's out now, another defenseman. This team likes to play fast. Arizona guys scoring goals like 4-3-3, 4-8, 4-3. Like they can score. They've 6 of the last 7 have gone over too, Mikey. And then St. Louis, on the other hand, did lose 5-2 to Winnipeg, won 6-3 against Montreal, won 4-1 against New Jersey. So they have actually been scoring a little bit in the last 3 games, which is a good sign going into Arizona, or Arizona coming into town, coming off a loss too. I'm going with a bit of a score here, guys. We're going both teams to score 3 goals. It's plus 165. I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I think this is a chance for St. Louis. just from the last few games, they're showing me that they can score here. And then, like you said, Vejmelka, that's not exactly a good sign in the last few games because they played Seattle, Montreal, Anaheim, Chicago, LA, and then Anaheim again in like his last half game. So, it's going a little too deep probably, but he's been playing pretty weak teams, I guess you can get at, Vejmelka. And I agree with what you're saying, Mike. I'm going both teams to score 3 goals.
So what was that number? That's awesome. What was the
plus 165? Plus 165.
So they're kind of tipping their hat that they expect goals in this game there with a number like that. So that's an interesting. I'll tell you what, St. Louis might be in trouble if the Coyotes are putting in 3. But like
can you feel the tension? I can feel it down in my plums.
We needed that. That's fucking.
Shout out Sharpie there, making it happen for us backstage, getting her done, making the production look like it's a piece of cake. Thank you, Sharpie. All right, boys and girls, we're going to roll on here. We got this next game we're going to talk about. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Ronnie and Bergia says, Robert, it sucks. I love to watch them play. Again, I'm catching up on the chat. So the Cheshire Cats out there, there's our guy, Cheshire Cat. They're talking a little bit about the NFL. We're going to get to the NFL. Nathan Cerny says, shout out, Mike. Tell those dirty bookmakers to give us our fucking money. You know it, my guy. We're going to get there. We're going to try to get this cash tonight. NHL's been running hot. I was so excited to see a larger card tonight. Knowing that is the case because it can heal all evils, if you will, when it comes to picking bad spots. So let's go. We got Robert Martin says Arizona is +6. I think he's talking about college basketball in this case at +6. Jared TG says consider the over themselves there, and I think that's again he's talking about that St. Louis game. Robert Martin, let's go. Coins out there. That guy Coin says got some UC Davis over 155.5 in the pocket. A 79-point first half works. Good for you, Coin. Get your cash, my guy. There's Dana Delp. Says, sup, Mike. Nate Dogg 420 likes Arizona on the puck line, the +1.5. Okay, Nate Dogg. We can both cash that one if it's a 1-point game, maybe an overtime spot where you don't have to worry at all, and I'll just sweat it out through the finish. And Ronnie Imbergia says McDavid's going to demand a trade in the offseason. You know, we don't have a ton of time to get into it, but I had a conversation on one of the live streams a few months ago, and I was like, where does McDavid win a Stanley Cup with? Is it Edmonton or is it anybody else? And if you had to put your money on it, I would say the anybody else is going to be the favorite in this case here. He's there in the long haul.
No, I don't either, Mikey. I not at this rate. Not their goaltending situation has been so bad for so long. I don't know how you keep him.
You know, and he can't. I mean, you know, I get it. He's the pinnacle of the city and everything else, and he's got that kind of career, the trajectory. They've done a nice job of bringing him along, but at some point, it's a business. They'd cut your ass if you weren't scoring goals. So why would you stick with them if they're not going to give you the support you need to go out there and get it done?
Well, when you're that good, he's just going to make the call in the end. Either he's going to one day just, you know, in the offseason maybe say, you know what, I'm not going to resign or demand a trade or something. Who knows? But he's the best player in the world still. So, yeah, I like them tonight too. We'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second here.
We've got this next game lined up here, Predators and the Jets. We're going to keep it rolling, keep it moving. We had a little detour there, but, you know, we carry opinions on these games and these guys too.
This is a tough game. I got question marks. I'm all ears here, Mikey.
Yeah, so we got UC Saros in net at 4-6. We've got Brossois on the other side at 0-1-1. 2.73 goals against average for Saros at 91.1 save percentage. 3.36 goals against average, 87.3 save percentage for Brossois. Interesting game. You know, this was definitely one of those spots that I looked at and thought, you know, as far as the Jets are concerned, Brossois is not really, you know, he leaves a lot to be desired, to say the least here. He's got a 3.38 goals against average, 87.3 save percentage. Listen, when you're sub 90 and it's got such a high goals against average, you're just not getting the job done, period. It's not like you had a bad string in there. You're just bad, and you are kind of what your numbers say you are. The only thought that I had with this game here, and it's a lean, you'll see on top of the screen there, boys and girls, is the lean is to the Calgary over spot. You know, this is a spot, or it says Calgary over. I'm sorry, I screwed that up because I had Calgary on the mind. When a team just played Calgary, the over in the next game has hit 8 out of 11 times. So it's 8-3 to the over when a team has just played Calgary. I'm not sure what the correlation is there, other than you know, maybe Calgary gets you more, because Calgary's not winning, you know, a lot of battles anyways. And I know they just had a big win, but it seems like it seems like Calgary gives teams hope where they feel like, hey, we can do this. It's like a confidence booster.
They don't want to lose to them almost. You don't want to lose to Calgary. It's like, man, these guys suck. Like, let's not be that team.
Yeah, and so then after that, you take that into that next game. Again, that's kind of that momentum carries factor for me. So I like that spot as far as a lean. I haven't officially gotten there yet with the Jets over. But if you look at this goaltending matchup, I mean, is it too easy to see 2-7-3 on one side with a 4-6 and the Predators? And I mean, the Predators can score goals. They're certainly a team that can go out there and put 2-3 in the net, no problem, and lay that down. You get 3 out of the Jets, and we're going to overtime, and this game's going to cash the over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for either or. I don't know where to go. I feel like I've had a good read, Mikey, on this Winnipeg team, but it just she didn't come to me today. I was hesitant. I was humming and hawing back and forth. So yeah, I'll stay off this game. Nashville, Nashville's a dice game too, as Jimmy says. I can't read Nashville. I don't know what they're doing. Saros, he is 1-4 on the road too, but he's got a 904 save percentage. So they've been losing, but they haven't been scoring as much. Because if you have 904 save, or if you're 1-4, you'd think they'd be a sub 900 save percentage. And then on the other side, Brossoit, another guy. I don't know what I'm going to get. These penalty kills have been pretty poor too. Home road splits. So 4 of the last 5 have gone under the total head to head. But I don't know where to go with this game. So it's a complete stay off for me.
Hey, shout out to our guy Rod Z in the chat. He's got a little AHL look in there, so I know that Gokster could appreciate that. Gokster and I are always going back and forth about our
Saturday Lake squads. Ontario.
He likes the Canucks. Is that the Abington? Is that Abington? Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL tonight. He says Campbell gets his first start for the Bakersfield Condors. Interesting.
I would take Bakersfield. I've had Abbotsford a couple of times this year, Mikey, myself, and they're not. I don't know. They're not as good as they've been in the past. Bakersfield's always been a tough team to play at home. They've had really good goaltending too at seasons I've been watching. So interesting play. I'm going to root on Abbotsford for you, brother.
Yeah, me too. I'll keep my eyes on it. I know Rod always comes through with some creative opportunities to get the cash. I remember we had a live stream a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was on one side, and then in comes Rod, and he's like, I think he had like 3 plays, and it was like and anyways, he was the only guy that cashed. He cashed all 3 of them, and I was like, oh man, there we go. This guy coming in giving the looks. So
I can see this happening again. I'm already saying like I don't know, and watch Abbotsford's going to hit, but good luck tonight.
And he says, but Soupy is in dumps. Yeah, that's for sure.
But it's AHL, man. Like I watched the Belleville here. Right? You watch Rochester. It's a completely different speed. It's so much slower, and that's what Campbell struggles at is the speed of the game these days. I think.
Yeah, I think it's I always got to feel like it's a guy kind of keeping his head down a little bit too, trying to get right and get back into the show. So maybe he's auditioning too for
and that's in California. You're out of Edmonton where it's like always -10 from like November on. So he's got to have better vibes.
Guys, appreciate everybody out there. Make sure you drop your looks in the chat. We love to talk about them. And please do us that favor. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, you like what you're hearing from us, all we ask is that you hit that thumbs up. Means a ton for us. We're going to keep this card rolling. We got a lot more to get to here. We're running tight. That 7:00 window comes up fast.
Brisk pace,
baby. Here, we're going to go right into this next game. We're going to talk about this Penguins LA Kings spot. We got Hellberg making the debut in net for the Penguins. On the other side of things, we got Copley out there at 1-0-1. Now, it does look like Hellberg did have some stats behind him, so I don't know if it was a true debut or if he came in a relief. But
he's played a couple relief games this year, Mikey.
So he's got a 2.11 goals against average with a 92.9 save percentage. I mean, that's not anything to shake a stick at. And then on the other side of things with the Kings, you got a 4.96 goals against average, 78.8% save percentage. But man, I had to double check the numbers because I was like, how the hell are they 1-0-1? Well, it's because they score a lot of goals. They have a lot of offense that they're able to generate, and it doesn't matter. They're almost like we'll score goals regardless of who's in net. It doesn't matter to us. But I don't know. Interesting thought. Any quick looks or anything you want to share with us in this game?
Yeah, I got to play on this one, guys. I think the spot here is bad for the LA Kings, guys. It's their first game at home after a four-game road trip, and they were back-to-back last night too, Mikey. So yeah. I think this is a tough spot. I think Hellberg's been okay. He had a shutout came in relief against Anaheim shutout, then 15-17 against Ottawa. So I think first period, guys. Pittsburgh's been a strong first period team. They just they're pretty flaky as the game goes on. So I'm going to take first period Pittsburgh plus 110. I found better actually power play too. Home road split is in Pittsburgh's favor here, 28% to 15% for the Kings. So I think the Pittsburgh can lead after the first period here, plus 110, like the number 2.
I like that look. That kind of goes along with some thoughts that I have with, if the dog's going to score, that's going to help me push this number over. And shout out to our guy, Ricky Levine's going to the game tonight. He says, let's go Kings, man. That should be fun. I know I saw my brother went out there to LA a couple of times and got to go to some Kings games while he was out there. And it looks like that's just a cool place to be, man, watching that thing at that, was it crypto.com now, I guess, but back when it was the Staples Center and the outdoor patios and things that they had there, it looks like that would not be a place that's too shabby to watch a game. The thing that I looked at for this game here's one of those factors for you as well. So keep this one in mind, boys and girls here. When the previous team is Vegas, you're on the road against Vegas. Despite what used to be a couple of years ago, the Vegas flu, remember that, Gokster, where teams when Vegas first cracked out, the next game they would have is that they would just lose because they were hanging out playing blackjack all night or whatever here. But it's turned around this season. And over the last two seasons, when the previous time you played Vegas on the road in Vegas and now you're a home team, 34-7 to the over. 34-7 to the over after you played Vegas on the road and now you're hosting. And not only is it 34-7 to the over, but 3.9 goals for to 3.7 goals against. It's a comfortable over. So I jumped on this LA Kings over 6.5. I hope it's a good game for our guy that's going out there, Ricky Levine, to enjoy it and watch some pucks get thrown into that net and watch that place go crazy with some goals and some offense. That was the look for me. I had a lean to the Kings in this game, but it wasn't. You're right. And you said it with this first period with Pittsburgh. You got 4 road games in a row. You just had a ton of travel going on out there. And they weren't just easy games. I mean, they made light work of the King or the Vegas Golden Knights yesterday, but certainly wasn't it wasn't. It
was a long road trip.
Yeah, you're on the road for a week and then you're finishing it off in Vegas. Plus, they probably had a couple of days to stay in Vegas before that game as well. So I just kind of thought I liked the Kings for the full stretch of the game, but is that my bias just because they're beating everybody up right now and they just came off of win against Vegas? That was Vegas's first loss at home, if I'm not mistaken. So team buying high, but again, momentum carries. I think the Kings get the job done as far as the over. And I like your first period look with the Penguins. I'll be rooting you on. I need goals.
Likewise. Yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully 3 goals. Give me that halfway to the over.
I do think there will be goals. I think I might have a couple more looks. Oh, yeah. I'm taking Edmonton. I'm taking the Oilers. If they lose to San Jose, God save them. They got problems. I'm taking them with Ottawa and the Vancouver first period over. It's going to be plus, I think it was plus 110, plus 119. So that's going to be the parlay piece there. And I think we went over all the picks I had there. I like Detroit. I like Detroit over Montreal tonight. I think Detroit's going to be in a good bounce back spot here. Reimer's looked really good at home, even though he's 1-2. He's got a .92 save percentage. DeBrincat and the crew, they're pretty much healthy now too. Look, I think Detroit. I took same game parlay, guys, over 4.5 goals. You can take 5.5 if you want, but I'm being a little safe, as Pete says. Over 4.5, and Detroit on the money line. It's minus 115. That's going to be another play on the card. I think Detroit get right here against Montreal, and also the goalie for Montreal is Premu, Caden Premu. Watch this guy a lot too here, Mike. He's an AHL goalie, man. He's not an NHL goalie. Like, it's good for him to get this start, but look for Detroit in their offense to do what they're doing at the beginning of the season, I think.
I as far as that Edmonton game is concerned, I looked at it and thought, not laying minus 300 on Edmonton. There's no way, shape, or form right now. Skinner and net, Skinner, and then Blackwood on the other side, though. A couple numbers that I looked at there. Edmonton's offense and scoring. Last year they were tops. This year they're bottoms. They're 26th in the NHL. That probably doesn't sound right, but they're a bottom scoring team in the NHL at 26th offense, 2.64 goals for. The Sharks, their season record is kind of what led me to this play here. The Sharks are 1-11. And they're 3-8-1 to the under. So, I know a lot of people are probably going to look at that Edmonton puck line. I didn't want to lay that minus 1.5. I'm banking on there not being any goals here. I like Edmonton, and I parlayed it with the under, and that was a plus 210 lean for me. So plus 210 lean for Edmonton in the under 6.5. There are 7s out there. So we looked at this last night. If you took Edmonton in the under 7, it ends up making it around a plus 145 or plus 150 or so. But I went to the 6.5 because I thought this is probably going to be a lower scoring game. The average goals in these Edmonton games are 4.5 to 1.2. So that kind of correlated with me when it came to that under 6.5 spot. So, we use a lot of data, a lot of trends, a lot of stats to try to give you guys these looks and these angles, Gokster. I know it was a treat for me to have you on here today. And I'm going to go in here and bust out the NFL and college football as well. But any last thoughts? You want to tell everyone where they can find you and what you got cooking?
Yeah, this Edmonton game, man, I think Edmonton might just destroy San Jose here. Like they might get the over by themselves, Mike. I hope not, but I'm actually wearing the Oilers sweater right now too.
Nice.
I think McDavid could have a hat trick or Draisaitl. Someone's going nuts, I think, for Edmonton tonight. We'll see. But yeah, guys, thanks for having me on, Mikey. It's been a treat. I got a little change in schedule, so I'll be on next Thursday with you too, guys, capping some hockey. Then back with Jamie and Loshak. So check me out, Eagle47_. We got golf, NHL, AHL, as you guys know in the chat, and NFL, all that good stuff. Thanks a lot, Mike, for having me on, and have a good rest of the show, brother.
I appreciate you, my guy. Thanks for taking the time to jump in here with us. Much love for that. Appreciate you hanging out and
you better fuck him from the back. I don't give a fuck.
He did give us quite a few looks as well. So we'll recap those at the end of the day here. We got to keep it moving. We got about 10 more minutes till 7 o'clock. And then I need a little break here to get ready and transition over for this next show. So we're going to jump right into the NFL. Just a couple of quick looks for you guys here in the NFL. But I think it starts with the cash flow and the money movement, right? This is a big deal and kind of what we're seeing and what we're not seeing in this game. So, battle royale here with the Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers. And it looked like it was an injury festival out there right now. There's still a lot of uncertainty. So we'll tighten it up before we get to the actual game here with this next spot. But, what's happening? We know Justin Fields isn't going to play. He kind of gave us some of those indications earlier this past week that dislocated thumb is still becoming a problem for him, and he's not quite ready to come back. Cole Kmet, the tight end there, with a big week last week too. Multi-touchdown performance out of this guy. He's been upgraded to a full practice participant this week, but there was still some questionable factors around him. I don't know what's going on with Khalil Herbert. I liked Herbert as a guy to get a touchdown tonight if he plays, but obviously if he's not playing, that's going to be a factor out there. And it just goes on. As far as the Panthers are concerned, Steve Sullivan, their tight end, out. Chenault, the wide receiver there that they traded for, he's out. DJ Shark's doubtful. That's a big factor for me when it comes to Carolina being doubtful. So we're going to have to monitor that injury factor because this is kind of one of those games where, it's going to matter when it comes to these props and who's going to get the job done. But, when I looked at this thing here, first and foremost, I see that the line opened around 4. There's 3.5s and 3s out there. So make sure you line shop. I say this like a broken record. I can't say it enough. That difference of that half a point could make the difference between a push and a loss, a push and a win. So 58% of the bets and 75% of the cash on the Panthers. And that's what you want to see if you're looking to bet the Panthers. You're seeing the bigger money, right? We talked about this before. The bets kind of represent the public, all the tickets being cashed, the parlays, the teasers, everything kind of rolls into that bets. But the money shows, to have 75% of the cash being on the Panthers means that the bigger money's on that Panther side of things. And as far as the total, 39 is where it opened, 38.5s and 38s out there, 77% of the bets and 81% of the cash on that under. It's prime time. Doesn't surprise me that the under looks like the number that everyone's tagging away with here. It is what it is. It's another primetime game. Wouldn't surprise me I say this every week. It wouldn't surprise me to see it be a score game, but everyone's kind of saying no way, no way. As far as the money line is concerned, it opened at plus 164. It's at plus 155 with 32% of the bets and 42% of the cash on the Panthers. So smaller bets on the Panthers money line saying that we've seen what this 1-7 team does. But some bigger cash saying, hey, I'll take that shot with these guys to get the job done. So just kind of quickly by the numbers for you guys, I locked in a teaser. I locked in Carolina at plus 9.5 and the under 44.5. I don't know that the Bears can score enough to get past that 9.5. If Carolina pumps in 1 touchdown and we see maybe 2 on the other side, then I'm good with that. So, I went Carolina plus 9.5 in the under 44.5 on the teaser. Here's the situation for you guys to monitor as well. When you've got a dog that's playing a team that just had a spread cover and you're coming off a spread loss, as long as the line's less than 10 points, that dog is 9-1-1 against the spread, and they're winning by 6 points. So that's a big factor for me when I looked at this thing. I know it's a variable and it's Carolina and you got to count on Carolina, but it's not like they're going out there to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The last time, here's another one for you guys. The last time the Chicago Bears covered 2 straight games was in the 2021 season. So 2 straight covers for them, 2021 season. What do they do after that? They went 0-8 against the spread. They went 0-8 straight up in those spots as well. So not quite the intersecting zero spots that we try to look for here, but we have a strong play on the dogs when they're against a team that had a spread win and they're off a spread loss. And we have a spot where the Bears are 0-8 after they've covered 2 games in a row. So that trend does intersect, albeit it's not intersecting zeros, right? So specifically looking at this spot here and saying Carolina, I may get there on the plus 3.5 as well before a tip off. I haven't decided just yet how I'm going to play that thing, but I like the points with the teaser. The teasers on primetimes have been good to me. We've been cashing those on the show as well. So we'll keep it rolling. Next game we're going to talk about, we've got 2 games in college football, and we're keeping this brisk pace. We got 5 minutes to go to 7 o'clock for you guys, but you know what? We, again, are 8-1 in our last 9 college football games. We're off of back-to-back board sweeps in the MAC. And not to pound the chest and say, look at this, but just as a point of reference to say we got to spend some time on these things because we're making too much money off them not to. That's what I always said to Sharpie in the baseball season. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to come on your show. I'm making too much money not to. Let's go. Let's get it done. So here we go. We're going to talk about this game here. We got Virginia and Louisville to start this thing off. Louisville minus 20.5 opening. Not a ton of movement. There are 20s out there now. 84% of the bets and 89% of the cash on the Louisville side of things. And, I looked at this one. I took Louisville. I got the minus 20. I know it's a big number, but last night, maybe it gave me the false sense of confidence last night to take this thing. There's a couple plays that I made on this one. First of all, I like this. I like to tease. It's a lean for me at this point, teasing Louisville and Louisiana, getting Louisville down to minus 14 and Louisiana at minus 3. That's like an eye twister and a tongue twister at the same time. Louisville and Louisiana. So I like that teaser, but I locked in Louisville minus 20. I just think it's a matchup situation. We see that in this case, Louisville doesn't, they play down to their competition. They don't rise to the occasion. So a bad team certainly can generate them to be a poor performing offense. And the biggest factor for me, though, is, Louisville's defense ranks 3rd in the ACC. They've got 10 interceptions on the season. Virginia, their quarterback, Colandrea, 6 interceptions in his last 3 games. That gives me that recipe for short field, an opportunity to capitalize on a couple of easy chain movers out there. And then, oh, by the way, teams that are no longer bowl eligible, meaning they've got 7 losses, 44-75 in their next game out. So big trend with a comfortable sample that shows that's a fade spot on the Virginia side of things here. I don't know that Virginia can get the job done to begin with. When you're a home conference favorite, as long as it's not on a Saturday, your opponent's off of back-to-back conference losses, 13-1 against the spread. I almost got there with the first half number as well, because in that 13-1 spread number, 26-6 is the average score in that first half. So if you're looking for an extra play, you want to get creative. That one doesn't start till 7:30. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to jump in on that first half. And in fact, it may be one of those late ads. And I say it like that because you guys know how that's worked for me. So we've had some recent success, but we certainly didn't start out great when it came to some of those late ads. And I'm sorry, I forgot the NBA as well. So we got to move even faster here. Next game up on the docket we're going to talk about. I'm going to move quickly. Southern Miss, Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns. 10.5 is the number that opened. We see 7.5s out there now. So huge movement from early in the show, even 4 o'clock when I got all this information over to T to dial up. We see that numbers dropped from, it was 10, 9. Now we've got 7.5s out there. 67%. Oh, just moved. 65% of the bets now on Southern Miss. 78% of the cash on that Southern Miss, taking the points out there. And short, sweet, and to the point for me. And this is where I kind of try to come up with a derivative bet, if you will, here. A rematch spot where Louisiana lost their last time they played Southern Miss. But they passed for over 50 yards. They ran for over 50 yards, and they're a home favorite. Those teams in those situations are 18-4. What that tells me is as long as they're just not a completely inept offense, they come out and they win those next games when they're rematch spots. So 18-4 against the spread, winning by a touchdown. The under at 5-16 to the under, going under by almost 10 points in a game is what led me to the Southern Miss team total under 21.5. It looks to me like it's a spot where Southern Miss, I know everyone's pumping in and taking that Southern Miss spot, but wouldn't that make a ton of sense to see that everyone's trying to take 10.5, 9.5, 8.5. Now we're at 7.5, and they're just chasing that steam. And then what happens? Southern Miss goes out there and lays a complete dud. So that's kind of what I'm banking on there with this game here and saying Southern Miss team total under 21.5. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted the 7.5 on Louisiana. And then under. The margin's there for that under with a 53 really quick. We opened at 52.5. We got 53s out there. 40% of the bets and 78% of the cash on that under for Louisiana. And makes sense to me. That's just that 5-16 spot here. Team that's kind of outmatched here. Now we'll see what happens at the end of the day. Some folks do believe Southern Miss is a team that can get the job done. I'm not of that elk here. I'm not going to go in that direction, but I'm going to give you guys 2 last plays at 7:00 to take a look at here. The first play for me is in this Bucks-Pacers game, and it's not going to be an unofficial play for me. It's off the board for me, just to keep things rolling. Why? Is because the numbers move too far. It's just, if you want to take that shot, you want to take that chance. I got a +4 earlier today, but I can't give that to you guys for official show purposes because it's no longer out there. What we do have is we've got 54% of the bets and 47% of the cash on that Pacers side of things. And let me just double check here. I know we're trying to move quickly and get this thing done, but I do want to look and see. It shows that it's still out there on FanDuel. I don't think that's the case. I know I looked at it right before the show and I saw like 2.5. So just want to double check. This might be a little lagging from their import showing us this cash flow and these numbers. But what originally, it's not there anymore. It's not going to be an official play for me. I have it in my bank account. But, look, at the end of my disappointment because it was such a big spot here.
Lillard got rolled out, though, Mike. That's why.
Yeah, I figured that, and I kind of saw that was coming. That's why I liked it at the 4. Unrested home divisional games. You got a team that's 21-4 straight up, 19-6 against the spread. The straight up number, 8.32 points per game in that spot, certainly shows that, they should still get the job done. 19-6 against the spread, covering by a 6.5 spot on the spread. Again, shows me that the Pacers should get the job done. The other number I saw out there was when teams play the Pacers, when they're averaging 110 points or more, and there's an away favorite with a line that's less than -6 when they're playing the Pacers, they end up showing up at 6-10, 2-14 against the spread. And it's a 10-6 to the over. So the overs crept up a little high for me. I was tracking those things and taking a peek at those early. 241.5. Now we see some 242s, 243.5. So I'm not going to touch that one. But what I am going to add here, it's going to be a last minute ad for me, is I laugh because of, the early failures that we had there. But a number that popped up for me is in this Hawks and Magic game. I don't have a graphic for it for you guys, but the Hawks open at -2. They're at -3s, and there's even 3.5s out there now. 67% of the bets and 80% of the cash on that Hawks side of things. By the numbers, the Orlando Magic, 11-0 against the spread. They're covering the spread by almost 7 points after they shoot 40% or better from the field the previous game, but under 36% from the 3 range. So kind of a little hybrid stat there showing me that, hey, they shot well from 2, but they needed to clean up those 3s, and that's why they performed the way they did. In this case here, they do clean it up. They show that they bounced back, and they've gone 11-0 against the spread. So I'm going to lock in +3.5. It's -105 for me on the Orlando Magic. I'm swapping out that Pacer spot. I'm adding in that Orlando Magic spot, +3.5 for me. That's going to get us through this show here. Let me give you guys the recap right quick. Again, I appreciate everybody dropping out here. Yeah, the Mexico City factor, that's a big deal that I don't want to dismiss, but I think that plays a part for the Orlando Magic because you've got young guys with young legs. And as much as the elevation's like the highest of higher than Utah, in my opinion, I know that's a Mexico City game. It's a primetime game. It's a primetime spot. Young guys get up for those situations. And I don't want to glance over that too quickly, but for time purposes, we've got to keep it rolling. So appreciate everybody sharing it out there. I'll give you guys the rundown here for myself as well as Gokster, and we will look to get transition over for 7:30. Tulane, I took -15.5. William and Mary on the money line. I've got Portland State plus. Now it's +10s out there, so take advantage. St. Mary's -6.5 is going to complete the college basketball card for me. We keep it rolling. I've got the Rangers in the ice. I've got Vancouver Canucks. I've got the Boston Bruins. I've got the St. Louis Blues. I leaned to the over in that Jets game. I took the Kings over 6.5, and Gokster gave us the Minnesota game over 6. He did a parlay with the Vancouver first period over 1.5 and the Detroit Red Wings. I had to flip through the Rolodex in my head of the Detroit teams out there. He's got no goal in the first 10 minutes of that Boston game at a -110. He likes both teams to score 3 or more goals in that St. Louis game at +165. He took Pittsburgh first period +110 And that's going to do. Oh, and he's got the Detroit Red Wings and the over 4.5 at -115 for a little same game parlay. In the NFL, I tease Carolina +9.5 and the under 44.5. In college football, we got the Louisville -20. I've got the Southern Miss team total under 21.5. I scrapped that Pacers spot, but I did add the Magic at +3.5. And that's going to do it. So over 120 plus still out here listening to us. Guys, appreciate y'all taking the time. Shout out to my guy Sharpie on the ones and twos, getting it done for us. Please, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button, get that like, retweet, put your post out there, comment in the chat with your plays as well. Want to recognize and highlight you guys the next days. Don't be afraid to jump in there and let them know you're out here watching it. We're cashing. That's the most important thing. Our bankrolls. Let everybody know Pub Sports is here. We're not messing around. $4.99, become a member if you haven't done so already. Cheap ask, means a ton for us. It gives us opportunity to develop and invest in new programming, new content, all spots to help get you guys cash and win those tickets. Have a great night, everybody. Good luck on all your bets, and make sure you stop by at 7:30. We're going to have a live bet sweat session going on tonight with all the boys getting in there to share their looks between not just the NFL, college football, and more. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's last call, baby. Let's get that cash. We be pumping.
Safe to say that our luck has officially turned around, guys. We are back, baby. We are fucking back. We're back. Yeah.